Welcome to Talent Talk and Strategy Stroll, the podcast where we unravel the secrets to unlocking business potential through talent optimization, strategy, and leadership development. I am your co-host, Mary Stockwell, joined by my brother, a Hemingway lookalike, and a seasoned strategist and business coach, Tim Stockwell. From Florida's Gulf Coast, where sun-kissed waves inspire us, join us on this enlightening journey. Wow. Thank you for the love that you've shown us. Your feedback has been positive and uplifting. We appreciate you and we are grateful for you. Tim and I are having a blast doing this podcast, and we're so appreciative that you're enjoying it too.
Yeah, we sure are, Mayor. And good morning to you.
And good morning to you. Thank you. As promised on our last podcast, Tim will give a quick update on the Hemingway lookalike contest held in Key West. Take it away, Tim.
Hey, Mary. Yep. So every year we do the Hemingway lookalike contest here in Key West, and it's always held around Hemingway's birthday, which is July 21st. And this year is no exception. And we had 140 men, all looked somehow like Ernest Hemingway, and their spouses and families showing up for a very crazy 4 days. And I think, as I mentioned in the other podcast, the whole purpose of the Hemingway Lookalike Society in Key West is to raise funds for scholarships for folks in the Florida Keys to attend the College of the Florida Keys. And last year, we raised $88,000 through the auctions and other means of membership costs. And we were hoping this year to hit 100,000. And we actually went a bit over $116,000.
Wow.
That was received from a lot of auction items. Everybody contributes some great auction items. So we are going to be able, and we, I believe, delivered 20 scholarships this year. And now next year, with this added amount to our funds, we're going to be able to do a few more in a couple different areas. So as far as the contest went, 140 contestants this year. There were 2 from foreign countries, Norway and France. And it was a great time. And this was my 4th year entering the contest. And I was fortunate enough to be selected as top 5.
Awesome.
So,
congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. And then out of the top 5, they picked the winner that is now called Papa. And this year, my very good friend, Garrett Marshall from Madison, Wisconsin, won the contest, and he is now Papa Garrett and Mama Sharon. So
That's so awesome. I
yeah, it's a
enjoyed
great
watching
time.
all the
Great time.
pictures and
Yeah.
watched it live on the Sloppy Joe's cam,
Yeah.
which was really cool. That almost felt like you were being there, except might have been a little bit wilder on the Sloppy Joe cam.
Yeah.
Because it was hard to understand some of it or hear some of it, but we're really proud of you. It was such a great event.
It's great. It's so much fun, and we raise a lot of money, and we make great friends. I can tell you, in person at Sloppy Joe's during the event, it is literally shoulder to shoulder people, extremely difficult even to move through the place. And for those who've been to Sloppy Joe's, it's not a small place. And people are yelling and screaming for the person they want to win and be named as Papa. And it's just a really, really good time.
Well, it really looked like a good time, and it looked like a lot of fellowship and friendship. And so it was really positive and uplifting to watch the whole experience and how people.
It really was. And it's a great time. Come on down and watch it in person.
I will. All righty. So let's get talking a little bit about today's episode. Today's episode is going to focus on teamwork, and it's entitled Where the Rubber Meets the Road, Cycling Towards Success. Today, we have a very special guest, a staff member of Jumbo Visma, the team that won this year's Tour de France. But first, a few quick facts and stats. In a Tour de France, there's 21 stages. That covers 3,404 kilometers. And there's 8 riders on Jumbo Visma, which is the team from the Netherlands. The winner from Jumbo Visma, Jonas Vingegaard, wore the yellow jersey on 15 stages of this race. It was incredible. So, Tim, will you have the honor of introducing our guest today?
Certainly, and it is really an honor. So I'd like to introduce Lucas de Bont, who is on with us now. There he is.
Hi,
Hello.
Lucas.
Hey, good
Hello,
morning,
Mary and
Lucas.
Tim.
Yeah, good.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
And welcome to the podcast, Lucas. And we're glad you could join us because I know last Sunday, you and your wife Pauline were in Paris for
Yes.
the last stage of the Tour de France,
Yes.
where they crowned the winner. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what that experience was like?
So the last day, all the wives from the team, from staff and the riders are invited to go to Paris to see the last stage actually. And then after the finish, then we were invited on a party boat on the Seine. It's like the channel goes through Paris, and there we had a dinner, and for sure also a party with a lot of drinks and beer. So it was very nice to do it.
I bet. So were you on the Champs-Élysées when the team finishes there?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's one part of my job also. So
Yeah.
I'm a physio.
Mhm.
So I have to work mostly after the stages to check the riders to help them recover to the next stage. But I also, when the stage starts, then we go first to the start to see the riders if they need some things, and then we go to some. It's called like the bottle points. And there we give out bottles with energy drinks, water, ice. We also have like the feeding zone. That's the place where all the teams gather together, and we give out it's called the musettes. That's like a feeding bag.
Okay.
So it's a bag full of with 2 bottles, 1 Coke, some extra gels, bars that the riders can eat during the stage. And then after the feeding point, we go immediately to the finish. And there we collect all the riders, and we make sure they are safe, and then we navigate them to the bus, and then they can take a shower in the bus.
Lucas, for people in the United States that may not be familiar with the term physio, what does that mean?
So a physio is somebody who's checking all. The most important is when they have a crash, something can happen to the back, to the knees, to the ankles. So I have to check every time if the joints move correctly, if the back is correctly, and sometimes we have to adjust or correct those things. So mostly of the time it's the back and the neck and also the pelvis that's hurt. Of the big forces they produce during being on the bike. They're in the flexed position for like a couple of hours during the stage. So that's very stressful for the body.
Thank you for that clarification. So I think in the US, people would know that as maybe accelerated physical therapy.
And some osteo work, eh? So
Yeah. So this I did after my education as a physio. I started immediately for the education as osteo, and I just finished it now in June. So I also now I'm an osteo.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you. And also one very important part I forgot to mention is we also give massage to the riders. So to help recover the legs, we give each rider get 1 hour massage.
It's a very interesting balance as you're working through all of these different stages, how the entire Jumbo Visma team has to come together to support the riders. There's what, 8 official riders on the team?
Yeah.
And how many staff does it take to support 8 riders?
I think we were with 8, so we were with 8 riders, and then total staff members, I think we were around 30 people.
20?
30.
30 people.
30 people. And we also have like seven normal cars,
Mhm.
two trucks, one small refrigerator truck. We have one bus. We have 2 little vans, and it's called the Tour de France. So we don't stay on one spot in France,
Mhm.
but we go all the way around in France. So it's like a big organized mess.
Yeah.
Every day we have to move to another hotel. Also the cars, every truck, the bus, and all the people.
And I think what you were telling me, which I found fascinating, a couple of things. One, you in your food truck, all of their meals are prepared in your own food truck and delivered to them specific to each rider.
Yeah, exactly.
All their meals are produced there. They don't eat in a hotel. They don't go out to dinner. No, everything is done.
When they cross the finish line,
Mhm.
they have like the bike computer on it, the Garmin.
Mhm.
When they finish the line, they put on stop,
Mhm.
and then it sends automatically all the information of the calories they have burned
Mhm.
to our cooks and dietitian.
Yeah.
And then they know how many rice, pasta, chicken, tuna, salad they have to make. And then each rider has we have an application. It's called the Food Coach app. They use the app, they go to dinner, and then it's like they check how many rice they have to take. Then they scoop it out of the big bowl of rice, and then they have like a small scale next to it, and then they can be very precise with it.
That's a remarkable process. And now you can kind of get an idea. I hope our audience can understand the level of organization it takes, and having the right people in the right place at the right time, because it's very fast paced, right?
It's true.
Yeah. So the other thing I thought,
the way further on the food than all the other teams, and that's what makes the difference, I think.
I was going to ask you, Lucas, how long has that technology been in place? I mean, that sounds revolutionary to a non-professional cyclist.
That's true. For me, I'm only my 2nd year in that team, and it already was like on a high level when I joined the team. But I think it started already before COVID in 2019. They started with it, but they keep developing. And now they make like the Food Coach app also for the normal people.
Oh, okay.
So we can go on the App Store and buy the app, and then you get some recipes for good meals, and then you can use it also like the riders. So they keep on developing everything about it.
That's
yeah, that's
amazing.
amazing. That's an amazing app. That sounds like it would be useful for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, if it's good enough for the Jumbo Visma team, it's got to be good enough for me.
Yeah.
Hey, Lucas, how did you land on Team Jumbo Visma?
So when I was doing my studies of physio, then I did an internship in a cycling team. It's a Belgian one. It's called Lotto Soudal. It was always a childhood dream of me to work in the cycling business. So the internship was like a dream coming true. And we keep during my studies, we keep in touch. So when in my free time, like you guys know, like spring break, then I have time off. Then I joined the team to do like a race in Turkey or Norway. So always small races. And at the end of my education, they asked me if I could join the team full time. So that was like mind blowing for me, because like I said before, it was a childhood dream. And then I worked 3 years with the Lotto Soudal team. But after 3 years, I changed. I go to another team, and that's the Jumbo Visma team. Yeah. And that's how we here now.
Yeah, see, I also find it fascinating. It was a childhood dream. So I think this is probably a good time, but I want to come back to some of the teamwork required for the races. And it's not just Tour de France. I mean, there's races. Cycling in Europe is one of the biggest sports,
True.
right? And so you're traveling all of the time with the team. It's not just Tour de France. Tour de France just happens to be the most well-known race, even to people in the United States. So it is very popular. So as Mary and I always say, our roots run deep, right? And so Lucas is our cousin from Belgium. Mary and I have really more family in Belgium than we do in the United States, although our families are growing in the United States, they are growing in Belgium as well. So our mother, her parents were Belgian, and they immigrated to my grandfather to the United States and took his citizenship in Kansas. And then my grandmother came to join him later on, and then they moved to Canada, where our parents were born. So Lucas's great grandmother and our grandmother were sisters. So her name was Blanche. Our grandmother was Irma, and Blanche married Albert. And then they had a son. They have two sons, Roger and Robert. And Robert married Greta, and Robert is Lucas's grandfather. And then his mother is my cousin, our cousin, Hilde. And now we have Lucas, and we have a lot of other cousins there. But Lucas has a brother, Dan.
Mhm.
And Dan they're in Belgium, and Dan is Daan. And growing up, Dan was a little younger, right? Lucas, how
Yeah,
much younger?
he's 3 years younger.
3 years younger. So when you were growing up with Dan, how were you guys similar in the things that you had an interest in and what you wanted to do, or was it similar or very dissimilar?
To be honest, we had big difference in interests. Like you would guess already, I was really interested in all kind of sports, but he wasn't. He wasn't
Yeah.
really. His favorite thing, we living in Aalst.
Mhm.
It's a city in Belgium, and Aalst is very famous, but maybe only national famous for its carnival. It's the biggest parade in the whole Belgium thing, and he was really interested into it. Like I had a childhood dream to work in cycling, and his childhood dream was to walk into the parade, to be in one I don't know, like a group, to do the parade. And I think it's already like maybe 10 years ago. He got from my mother and father a Christmas gift, and it was just a letter. And he opened the letter, and it was an invitation of a group to Dan if he could join them for the parade.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I did see my brother a lot of time crying, but that time he was crying.
Yeah.
He was so happy with it. It was the best Christmas present ever.
I bet.
And from on that year, every year he goes in the parade.
Yeah, and his role is larger and larger, it seems.
Yeah.
He's more and more involved, right?
Yeah, he also like builds the fleet, like all the big things on the cars, the puppets, also like the costumes they have to make by themselves. So they organize a lot of things to collect money. They sell like chocolate biscuits door by door. They organize like I don't know really the word in English, like to do like they invite all people to go to a barbecue, and they organize the barbecue.
Oh, okay.
And then the people come over, they pay for it, and then they do all the work. So that's the way of collecting money.
So they
do
fundraise in a lot of different
fundraising.
ways. Yeah.
Fundraising, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So does Dan get all dressed up in costume or?
Yeah. He is like, I love the cycling. He's crazy about carnival. He keeps all the costumes.
Yeah.
So my mom's ceiling, it's fully stacked with all costumes. We even have in Alstor 2 radio stations, and they only play carnival music. But the radio station, it starts like 2 months before carnival.
Yeah.
So like the people who love carnival, they put on the radio 2 months before.
Yeah.
But my brother is so crazy. He has an iPad full of carnival music, and he puts on the radio the whole year. So when we hear like a normal song on the radio, he starts singing it in the carnival version.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I know he has fun. I remember, I think in 1996, 97, and 98, we attended the Carnival in Ulst with you as a family. I know it was always Dan's dream to do it, and it's wonderful that he's doing it now. And he does have crazy costumes. It's the Ulst Carnival is like, no, it's probably more comparable to maybe Brazil, right? To where they would do in Rio de Janeiro. It's these huge costumes, huge caricatures. Yeah, it's brilliant, and it's wonderful that he does it. Now, you mentioned there's 2 radio stations in Ulst. And I happen to know that your wife, Pauline, is in radio.
That's correct. That's
And
correct.
is that one of the stations in Ulster, or is she in Brussels?
No. She's working full time on national radio.
On a national.
It's called Q Music, and there she reads the news starting from 2 p.m. until 7, and then between 4 and 7, she's like the co-host of the radio program.
Yeah, and she has 2 other co-hosts, right?
Yeah,
so the 3 of them, and there's a lot of fun banter.
You have one host and then 2 co-hosts.
2 co-hosts, okay. And there's always fun banter between them.
Yeah.
We've watched her on the live camera in the studio, and I know she does a great job. So
yeah, she also loves it.
It's so much
she
fun.
also loves it.
So again, I want to just reiterate. I mean, it's a great family. It's a good story. I've known our family in Belgium. This will be the 5th generation of my family and cousins that I've known there. Mara's probably 3-4 generations, maybe, because we've always traveled back and forth. There's always been a member of our family from Belgium that has come to the United States to visit. Lucas's family did in
2011.
2011 was the first time as a family that you came, but your parents had been here before.
Yeah.
A couple of times.
30 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, in 92.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then several of our cousins and their family have traveled to the United States. Likewise, I've lived in Belgium for 5 years with my wife and the family. And then Mare has been there. And Jer and my brother Van have all traveled to Belgium to visit family over the many years. So our roots do run deep, and our connections are strong. And so I think that this is a great way of demonstrating it. But if I could come back a minute to the tour, not just the Tour de France, but when you're together as a team, you also mentioned to me how the caravans travel with the rider's personal mattress.
Yes.
Tell us how that works, because you change hotels every day. You have to change hotels. How does that work? How does that team, from a logistics standpoint, work?
Okay. So the only vehicles who goes to the real stage is like the bus for the riders, with the riders in it, and then 5 cars. All the rest never goes to the stage. No. They immediately go from hotel to the next hotel. And that's also included like the van with the mattresses.
Yeah.
So in the beginning of the season, we have like a sponsor, a partner, that's specialized in mattresses and pillows. They come over, all the riders, to the Netherlands. They go to the factory, and there they can try out all kind of mattresses. Every rider selects his favorite one. Then they go to the tour. The 8 riders who are selected to do the tour, they have their own private mattress with them in the van, also the pillow.
Mhm.
We have two guys who are responsible for it. So they drive the van, they arrive at the hotel, the next hotel. They take off the hotel mattresses, they put it on the corner, and then they put like the personalized mattress in every room and pillow. So that's how it works. But not only the mattresses, like we have the two trucks I told before. We have like 30 people staff, but 8 riders. So it makes like around 40 suitcases. All those suitcases have to go in the truck. And then we have 2 guys, Swannies. They are responsible to do the hotel. So they collect all the suitcases when they arrive in the next hotel, and they put it in every room. So they come in the hotel and they get a list. The list from, we have this room, this room, this room, this room. And then they get it like, it's called a passepartout. I don't know it's in English. So it's a key. You can enter every room.
Oh, yeah.
So they open all the rooms that are for the team. They put every suitcase for every staff member and every rider in the right room. They put some water on the room. They put for the physio and for the physios who do massage, the osteo, they put the tables to work on, the massage tables, the osteo table that they put on. They ask for like extra sheets, extra towels to do the massage. Then they also put it on the right rooms. And then it is like they collect every key. And then when the riders arrive after the stage by bus, the only thing the rider has to do is they have to ask the Swanee who is responsible for the hotel. He comes over, he gives the key. They collect the key. They don't have to pass the reception. They immediately go to the elevator, to the room, and it's totally rest for them. They don't have to think a thing about logistic part. They only have to concentrate on the race.
So after
Right.
the race, go ahead, Mayor.
I hear two clear themes here. One is strategy, and the other one is certainly teamwork and the talent associated with all of that teamwork. So do other teams follow the same type pattern, or is that a strategic outlook from, Team Jumbo Visma?
I think most of the teams do the same. And logistic parts, it is the most easy way like this, that the trucks goes to the next hotel and not to the race. But the big difference is we are so professional. We have so much fleet, like the 2 trucks. Also 1 truck especially for the cooks. It's a total truck, and it's totally a kitchen inside.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
nothing else. There the cooks can make the dinner. And like I told before, that's the big difference between our team and all other teams. We are so focused on food, nutrition, because it's so important. They have to take like the right fuel to perform good. And that's my opinion, that makes a difference in with our team and the other teams.
Yeah, that's a fascinating approach. You have to do it. So from a strategy standpoint, how does the strategy for each stage get determined and then transmitted to the riders? How does the team manager do that?
So we have a performance manager and a sports manager,
Mhm.
and they sit together with all the sports directors and the general manager together already in October.
Mhm.
Then they decide which rider would be good enough or could be selected to the Tour de France. And then they write down like 10 names.
Mhm.
And then we have the first training camp in December. And during the first training camp of December, they talk with every rider. We have 27 riders in the team. And then
Okay, so that's interesting. Yeah.
Every rider get his fully race program for the whole year already in December. And the season starts in January in Australia and the Tour Down Under.
Mhm.
But the official season starts in February.
Okay.
So then every rider knows his program for the whole year. And that also gives like a kind of rest in the head of the rider.
Mhm.
Then he knows, okay, this is my objective of this year. I do the Giro, the Tour of Italy. I do the Tour de France. I do the Vuelta, it's a Tour of Spain. And they know the big objectives for every rider. So the 10 riders they have write down, they know I can ride the Tour de France this year, but it's not really sure because everything can happen.
Mhm.
We saw it also this year. In May, we go to the training camp in Sierra Nevada. It's on a big altitude in Spain.
Mhm.
And there were like about, I would say 9 riders. So one more than that will go to the Tour.
Unusual.
And then after Sierra, you have the race. It's called the Dauphiné. And that's like a big preparation race for the riders who do the Tour.
Okay.
And one rider that was pretty sure to do the Tour, he crashed out.
Mm.
And he broke his collarbone
Oh.
and his scapular bone.
Mhm.
So it was not possible for him to be ready for the Tour de France. So that's the 9th rider who was in the Sierra. He joined the team then for the Tour.
To do the Tour de France.
Yeah. Because he
And
did
so-
the right preparation.
Oh, yeah, he did all the work.
You have to go, if you want to do the Tour and you want to be good in the Tour, you have to be on attitude for a very long period. I was on attitude, not to be in a good shape, but to work in the Sierra for 1 month with the riders.
Wow.
1 full month.
Yeah.
And then they do the
Wow.
Dauphiné race, all the riders. And then after Dauphiné, immediately they stay in the French Alps in Tignes. And there we were like for 10 days more.
More training.
And then,
at
and then
altitude.
and then they are like 4 or 5 days at home.
Mhm.
And then the Tour started.
So you start with 27 riders? Is that
Yes.
the total team? And then that's of those 27, it's divided. Who would preliminarily
You have to be
participate
like,
in each race?
yeah, you have to be to be the Tour. You have to be strong enough.
Yeah.
It is what it is. They select the riders also on base of the VO2 second max. It's the amount of oxygen they can take
Yeah.
and goes
Okay.
to the muscles,
Okay.
and they can calculate it, and they have to be like at least 80%
Okay.
because it's so suffering the Tour. They have to be on a really good base and a really good
bet.
shape.
Is the Tour de France the most difficult of all of the races in Europe?
It's the biggest one in the world. There's so much journalists. The stress is enormous. Also for the sponsors, it's important
Mhm.
because they get a lot of the cameras, then the logos, the branch get
Yeah, branding.
on television. So that's important. I never did a race, but I've heard the Giro, the Tour of Italy, is the hardest one of the year.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Is that
Because
because of the changes in altitude going up and down through
Yeah, correctly.
the mountains? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So I also understand that most Americans probably would, when they think of, especially the Tour de France, that the leader or the winner of the stage, which is just one day's event, they wear the yellow jersey, right?
Yes.
And whereas the leader throughout. But there are also other colored jerseys that riders wear. How does that determined?
You have in the Tour you have 4 jerseys.
Okay.
You have the yellow jersey, he's the leader in the general classification. Then you have the green jersey, that's for the best sprinter. He collects the most points in the sprint stages. And then you have the polka dot jersey, and that's for the best climber. He collects the most points on top of the climbs.
Okay.
So he passes first on the climb, and then you have the last one is the white jersey. That's for the best rider in the general classification. He is 24 years old or less. He's not older.
Ah,
Mm.
So that's for the best young rider.
young
in the
rider.
PC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's amazing how it all works. And the winner this year is actually Danish. Is that right?
Correctly.
And he's your top rider of the team.
Mm-hmm. He's like the leader.
Mhm.
And then we had another leader with us. He's called Wout van Aert. He's a big name in Europe, in Belgium.
And he's Belgian, right? He's
He's Belgian. Yeah.
Mhm.
And he tried to go this year for stage win. He won in 2022. He won the green jersey.
Okay.
but now he doesn't want to do it. It was
Oh.
too much stress, and he only wants to focus on winning stages.
Okay.
But unfortunately, it didn't work out this year, so that can happen also.
But
And
there
then
is
we have-
really a lot of strategy, isn't there? Each stage, and do the coaches meet with the team after each stage and go over?
So when the stage ends,
Uh-huh.
the riders go in the bus to take a shower, and then the bus goes from the finish line to the hotel,
Mhm.
and it's only the riders and the race coaches on the bus.
Okay,
And then they do like a debrief.
okay.
So immediately they talk about tactics, about the stage that happened today,
Mhm.
what went good, but also what went wrong.
Mhm.
And sometimes, like we saw with the second stage with Wout
Mhm.
was really want to win, but he becomes second. So he was so angry.
Mhm.
That's also some stuff that can happen. And then it's good. All the riders are together with the coaches. Everybody can say what they want.
Yeah.
And Wout was so angry, but after 5 minutes of talking with each other, then the calm
down.
came back.
Yeah.
And then so they arrive at the hotel. The first thing we do is starting doing massage with every rider.
Mhm.
We have 6 persons for 8 riders who do the massage. And then the head of race coach of the tour, he
Mhm.
comes over to every room when we're doing massage.
Okay.
And then he talks individual with every rider about how was your feeling. Because
Yeah.
in group, maybe the riders will not say everything.
Yeah.
So, and then individual, he talk about how his role was today, was good, was not good, that could be better, that was perfect, like those kind of stuff. And then when that's finished, they start individual starting talking about the tactics for the race tomorrow.
It's a fascinating process. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
And
that,
when
for that particular individual, they talk about their role
their
in the
role,
next
yeah,
stage.
every rider. In our team, it goes so crazy sometimes. We have like the stage 17 in this Tour de France was the Queen stage, it's called. It's like the hardest one with the biggest altitude meters. And then he discussed with the riders, every rider, individual, how many wattage they have to pedal. Like the force they have to
It's
pedal.
their cadence.
The cadence, exactly. For how many time on that mountain?
Wow.
It's
that precise.
it's that precise.
Wow.
So they say in the newspapers, it's not like a PlayStation game, the Tour de France,
Yeah.
but sometimes when they call all out the numbers, for me, it's like a PlayStation game.
Ah.
And then he said also, you have to attack, you have to try to attack there. You have to try to attack there. You have to stay behind Jonas' wheel. You have to stay in front of Jonas' wheel to keep him out of the wind.
Okay. Yeah.
All the kind of tactics are spoken about. And during the year, the race head coach, he goes also by car and bike. He goes on, he's go out to France.
Yeah.
And he does every stage from start to finish to see everything, every roundabout, every corner, and he puts it down on an application. It's called VeloViewer. Most of the teams have it.
Mhm.
And then you can see the whole track. Then when he's in the tour, in the car behind the riders, he has his iPads placed in the car with the VeloViewer on. He sees all the racetrack, all the altitude meters, very precise. And he can see, like in 200 meters, there is a left corner to the right, 90 degrees. And then he takes like a communication system.
Mhm.
He speaks to the riders. Riders, pay attention, in 200 meters, there is a corner to the left. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
And then every rider of our team, the 8 riders, they know, okay, I have to brake a little bit.
Yeah. So for us, Lucas, for Mare and I, when we're working with our clients, how you just described the intensity of the strategy and then the work that the manager has to do in order to ensure his team is successful. is enormous. I mean, like you said, the work, he goes and rides every stage in anticipation, records it, the details, how to help his team achieve success in every state. And there's a vision of winning. Didn't you have a vision this year that you were going to win the yellow and the green? Was that this year or that was last year?
So we won. The first time we won was 22.
Yes.
And then we were like, they in the training camp in December, they made like the performance manager and the head of race coach, they make like a presentation for the staff and riders. And they started with a picture. So in 22, we were the lions and we were hunting the yellow jersey.
Ah, okay.
And now in 23, the training camp, they say the roles are opposite way. Now the lions are the other teams.
Yes.
They want to try to catch us. So
yeah,
we don't
what a
have
great
we don't
vision.
have to like, we don't have to rest. We always have to keep innovating.
Yeah.
Keep thinking to be better.
Yeah.
And
It's so important.
I can give you an example from this year
Sure.
Tour de France.
Yeah.
So we did the TT. It's a time trial, and it was a little bit hilly, the TT. So in March, our performance manager, he starts to think about the strategy for a TT in July. And the thing was, they were doubting about a bike change during the stage. So sometimes it happened, you have a TT bike, it's a special triathlon bike to go on the flat, but to go uphill, it's more difficult to be in that position, the TT position. And also a TT bike is more heavier than a normal road bike. So the performance manager, he started calculating everything. What would happen if Jonas would stay on the TT bike, the whole stage, even on the climb? Then he decides with his numbers that it would be possible that if Jonas stay on the TT bike with no bike change, if you change bike during a TT, you lose like 10, 15 seconds. And it's really, it matters.
Yeah.
So we have like a bike, it's called Cervelo with a lot of colors on it, on the normal road bike. And you have the chain rings, okay? What they do with the TT bike, they put off all the colors of the bike. And it was 100 grams less.
100 grams.
Yeah. It's fascinating. And also, normally a normal bike in front, you have like 2 or 3 chain rings. They just put one on to lose weight. It was also, again, 100 grams. And then the difference was not so much anymore between the road bike and the TT bike, the weight.
Yeah.
And that's why they decide Jonas has to be on the bike, the TT bike, for the whole stage. And his big opponent, Pogacar, he changed bikes during the stage. So he changed from TT bike to the road bike.
Yeah.
And Jonas won the stage, the TT stage, by a big difference.
Yeah.
So that are the things. It's not only the legs, but it's also the material that's very important.
Well, and I think it's also the science and the data.
Yeah. The performance manager is always busy with it.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
So what I like about it, and I think from an application perspective, Mara, for our clients to understand is how you are able to create the vision, then create a staff and a team that understands the vision. And this vision is reinforced on Lucas's team every day.
Every day.
And every day, the tactics of what occurred that day and what we need to do for tomorrow are talked about and discussed and agreed to so that tomorrow is more successful than today.
And they created a real image too.
As I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, how powerful would that be if the managers we work with their teams could take that level of vision, strategy, and tactics every day to their team? Would the teams be more successful? Would they accelerate their success? You know, I think so. And I think that's a valuable lesson that Lucas has been able to share with us, don't you think?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, with the visualization of the lion, right? I mean, you would think about that every day.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. So, just a few more questions for you, Lucas. So, if you weren't working with staff at Jumbo Visma, what would you be doing?
I think I would become a normal physio. I work at
Mm.
home, have my own practice office, and then see some patients over there. But now really it's like a hobby I get paid for. So that's the best job you can have in the world, I think.
Yeah, and what I think is very interesting as family, obviously, but just as individual, you have had this dream for as long, I think, virtually as I've known you, and I've known you most of your life. I mean, it's remarkable to me that it's that singular focus you've had to be in that business and to be as successful as you are. I mean, I think it's a remarkable tribute to you, and you've done a great job with it. And look at the people that you've been able to affect by your professionalism and your work. I think it's a really, really neat way to live your life. And who knows what happens.
I still remember when in 2011, when my family and I were in Kansas City, I was 18 years old. So I just finished high school, it's called here. And I would go to college to do the physio. And I remember every day we woke up, my dad is also passionate about cycling. Every time we woke up, but with the time difference, it was during the Tour de France. We were in Kansas City.
That's right.
It was perfect. We woke up at like 9 o'clock. And then we woke up, we go to the television, and then we saw the last 2 hours of every stage. It was the perfect morning every day.
It was wonderful to be able to share it with you too.
So
although we didn't really understand it, I didn't, although I knew it a little bit more because having lived in Europe for so long, I knew the passion and the intensity of what cycling means to people. And I know even the tour in Belgium, right? When they do the racing in Belgium.
The classics period,
Yeah, and they go through several of the towns, I think, where our families were from, right? Don't they?
It's called West Vlaanderen. It's part in West Vlaanderen, and it's very hilly. So a lot of races passes through that area. And we don't only have like the little hills, but also the cobblestone sections.
Isn't there some of that in Wevel, and not in Wevel, in Zwevenzele? Don't they go through Zwevenzele?
Lichtervelde,
Lichtervelde, all the towns that our families grew up in,
they're all close together.
Cool. Do they go through Alst?
Yeah, a few years ago, the Ronde van Vlaanderen, Tour of Flanders, they passed in the beginning between, they started in Antwerp, and then they go down, and then they passed Aalst. But Aalst is not very famous for cycling races. The only thing they organize is like the day after the tour. So the tour ends on Sunday. On Monday evening after it, they organize a criterium. Then they invite all the big names from the tour to do some loops around the church. But it's actually more fun. So that's one thing they're very famous for in Belgium, for the criterium.
Now, I also know you're a huge American baseball and football fan.
That's true. Every sport.
It's every sport. That's right. So I have to ask, what's your favorite football team?
My favorite, I'm a Chiefs fan. Patrick Mahomes.
That's great. And baseball, I know you were just in Miami. And you went to a Marlins game.
Correct, against the Tigers.
Detroit Tigers, And you went to a Tiger game in Kansas City, didn't you?
Yeah, it's true. I saw then in 2011 we saw the Royals against the Tigers.
That's very cool.
That's nice.
Mare, what other questions do you have? And Lucas, anything you have? Go ahead, Mare.
I think we've had really an enlightening conversation. We really touched base on quite a few things, Lucas. We talked about passion. We talked about dreams coming true. We talked about dream teams. We talked about business strategy. We talked about talent strategy. We talked about a little bit about our families and sibling rivalry. I think this conversation was just perfect. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and your stories with us, Lucas. We appreciate you so very much. Is there any closing remarks that you would like to make?
Maybe I want to add one more thing. I'm a staff member in the team, and for me, the manager thing, the really important thing to not only the riders but also the staff is honest communication. Every time,
Very important.
if I have done something wrong that's not good in their eyes, they immediately come over and they say it to me, and then we have a chat about it. But also the opposite way. When I or other staff members do like a very good thing they didn't see or they didn't think about it, they come over and they give like a shoulder clap and they say, you did a great job on that thing. We didn't think about it, but you did it the best way. So that's nice. And I work at Jumbo Visma is like a cycling team from the Netherlands. And the Dutch people are really known as like directly communication.
Yeah.
And that's what I really like. I really like. Sometimes it's like when they're not happy, they also say it, and then it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But it's very nice also the opposite way. When I have done something right, they say it in group. They say, Lucas, today, you were very good.
So recognition.
Voila. Exactly.
Communication and recognition. I think we touched on so many of the things that we talk to our clients about every day, and you expressed it so eloquently and so visually. I think people will really be left with very vivid remembrance of our conversation.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Lucas. We appreciate it, and continued success.
Thank you.
I hope you're in the cycling world for quite some time.
I hope so too.
Thank you so much. Today's episode of Talent Talk and Strategy Stroll is sponsored by our Veritas Leadership Academy. Veritas Leadership Academy offers a range of programs designed to develop and enhance various leadership skills. Here are some types of programs that contribute to our Leadership Academy. Leadership development programs, including Leadership at Scale, executive coaching, team building and collaboration workshops, innovation and change management, global leadership and cultural intelligence, as well as networking and mentoring opportunities. Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Where the Rubber Meets the Road with our special guest, Lucas de Bont. You can download our Talent Talk and Strategy Stroll podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like us, please follow us and engage with us and share with your friends. Thank you for joining us, and have a day filled with sunshine. Until next time.
Yep, great session, Mara. And I think maybe now we have to say that today's session is where the rubber meets the sand.
The rubber meets the sand.
That's right.
Have a great day, guys.
Let's go for a walk on the beach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lucas.
All right, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Take
Tim.
care. Bye-bye.